Michaud, his backhand pass. DeLille gets by one. Here's DeLille's shot. Scores a goal! Ryan DeLille, and the Raiders go on top. 1-0. Michaud will pick up the assist along with Kevin Horan, and it's 1-0 Raiders on a pretty goal.
Ryan DeLille picking up his first varsity hockey goal tonight, and what a beauty down that right side. And he used the Rome defenseman as a bit of a screen, and he just inside the top of the right circle fired a snapshot, and he had a lot on it. I'll tell you, that jumped up and up over the right shoulder of Brandon Shears, but that was a real pretty goal. Just prior to that, as you mentioned, Ryan Ramo had a wide open net, and he roofed one up over the top of the crossbar. But the Raiders getting that early goal, and Al Williams and the Black Knights falling to that early bugaboo, giving up an early goal.
Here comes Wood again into the zone. Takes it wide, has it knocked away. More or less lost it off the end of his stick. DeLille gets the goal. Michaud, and they give Ramo an assist. That should have been Horan's, I thought, but Ramo gets the assist instead. Now the puck all the way back in the Massena zone. In the corner it goes. Picked up there by the Black Knights. Giuliano trying to flip it by in the corner. Knocked away from him. Raiders move it out. Converse. Headman Job. Job poked away. Converse tries to follow. Here's Job after it. Dumps it deep in Black Knight territory. After it there, in behind the net and flipped around the boards. Googie just clears it. It just trickles to the neutral zone. Converse flips it ahead for Horan. Too far. Picked up by the Knights in their own zone, but they can't clear. Wood forechecking, gets to Converse. Converse flips to an open wing. Will Job get there? He does. Bounces it in behind the net for Converse. Converse throws a check. The puck squirts free to Wood. Wood flips it in behind, but it's knocked away. And now the puck around the boards to the blue line, and it's out to center ice where Kevin Horan picks it up for Massena. Horan drops it back to Sidden. Sidden bounce pass. Here comes Converse. Converse has it get away from him. Wood picks it up there. Back to Converse, but he's offsides. Raiders clear the zone, and it's picked up by Haluska. Haluska out of the zone, flips it to the neutral zone, and into the Massena zone it goes. Back after Jeremy Sidden. Sidden picks it up, circles by a forechecker, takes it behind the net, skates it out right side. Headman pass, deflects off a stick, trickles into the Rome zone. It's going to go back in behind the net where it's picked up by the defenseman Race. He circles around, bounce pass on the boards. Out to center ice it comes. Intercepted there, Tubolino. Tubolino, headman, Whitcup. Whitcup goes by a check. Flips the puck in the corner. In behind the net, skates by the defenseman. Whitcup centers pass. Knocked away. It bounces in the slot to the blue line. Kept in. Kevin Horan, he'll dump it in the corner. That's intercepted. And back come the Knights out to the neutral zone. Racing out of the zone. Rome just dumps it deep in Massena territory. Stop behind the net. Raiders move it back the other way. Here comes Massena. Trying to clear the zone, bounces out to center ice, dumped right back inside. We got a delay off sides as the Knights have to clear, but it's picked up by Jeremy Sidden. His headman pass dumped right back inside Massena territory. Meacham leaves it in behind. Horan ahead to Tubolino. Tubolino skates by a check, flips to Levine. Levine knocks it away. Raiders changing. Here come the Knights back the other way. Into the Massena zone. Googie, wide shot, save made, and Meacham will hold on for the face-off.
Might be the first official shot on goal for the Black Knights, but the Raiders coming out with that first goal at the 2:15 mark. Ryan DeLille, his first of the year, with Aaron Michaud and Ryan Ramo picking up the assist. That line really playing well. Aaron Michaud playing some of his best hockey of the year of late, but I'll tell you, the Raiders have got a little jump in their stride tonight, Jerry.
Off the draw, puck back to the point. Here's a shot blocked. Here comes Massena. Michaud's going to have a breakaway. Here comes Michaud busting in on net. Shot! Save, rebound, following up is DeLille, and another save made by Shears. Oh boy, good save by Shears, but I think Michaud just lost it just before he got the shot off.
Well, I think he telegraphed a little too soon, Jerry. He had it over again. Yeah, he indicated to Shears he was going to the backhand a little too soon. A little more head movement in there, get him guessing somewhat, but didn't leave much to the imagination. But
good opportunity. Michaud in behind the net. Has it knocked away, fighting for it there. Raiders battle in the corner. That's Michaud again, comes away with the puck, has it knocked away, and is picked up there by Patinelli. Flips it around the boards to the blue line, out to center ice. Poke check right back to the blue line. And Ramo is going to be called for an intentional offsides as he touched it on the wrong side of the blue line, and they'll move the faceoff all the way back inside Massena territory.
Getting back to that breakaway by Aaron Michaud as he blocked a shot from the Rome point and had a breakaway from his own defensive blue line in, but again, didn't sell what he was going to do well enough. He indicated he was going to the back end pretty early, and Shears had no problem making the save.
Off the faceoff comes to Marsh. He winds it up. His shot save made Meacham, and it goes up into the wall, and we'll do it again.
Boy, that had something on it. Back to the point. Great shot. I'm trying to pick number 14 over
Eddie
there.
Marsh.
That's Marsh.
Yeah.
Eddie Marsh back at the point. Normally we had him listed as a starting left winger.
The defenseman moving up.
Oh, that's that lock they're using.
Yeah, they move Marsh back to the point just for the face-off. He's their trigger guy from the point, and with that shot, we could see why. Raiders clear the zone off the draw, trying to head man. It's intercepted by Davidson. Now they battle in the neutral zone. Ramo picks it up, trying to slide it ahead. Knocked away, and into the Massena zone, it's Barry, knocked away from him. Ramo gets a stick on it, but we have a whistle. And I think we have our first penalty of the game, and it's going to go against Massena. Ryan Ramo gets a roughing call.
And the penalty kill has been a bugaboo for the Raiders all year long, Jerry. They're allowing the opposition to score at about 22.6, 14 for 62, and
way too many.
That's not good. In fact, it's been a little higher, just a tad higher since the winter break, 7 for 23 at a 23%, but they've got to improve on that.
Well, let's see what happens here. Off the face-off, the puck goes back in the Rome zone. Dan Race back to pick it up. Race in behind his own net. Raiders have got Job out there and Wood along with Sidden and Horan. And here comes Eddie Marsh into the Massena zone. Marsh will drop it to the 45. Around the horn it goes. Marsh in behind has it stolen away. Puck cleared around the boards by Horan, but not out of the zone. Kept in by Dan Race. He flips to the 45. They bounce it back to the blue line. It goes off a leg. Does not get out of the zone, though. Kept in at the point. Now the puck knocked away. Goes back to the other point. Back here's a shot from the point. That's wide. Rebound, another shot. That's wide. And this one's going to bounce all the way back to center ice. Job racing for it. Here's Matt Job trying to come up with it. He can't do it. And the Black Knights turn it around into the Massena zone, but the Raiders pick it up there. Massena controls, winds it up, and dumps it down the ice. That was Adam Wood. 29 seconds left in the man advantage. Raiders lead 1-0 in the first period on a goal by Ryan DeLille. Knights start it back the other way into the Massena zone. Here's a hard check thrown. And what do we got? An offsides call against Rome.
Hard check thrown, and I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count.
Wouldn't happen to be number 4, would it?
It would be number 4 out there, Chris Converse. I'll tell you, when he gives you a check, you hear it all over the rink. He just shakes the boards, and the dasher just...
Off the face. Puck out to neutral zone, knocked away by Converse. 10 seconds left in the man advantage. There's a battle for it. Whitkup's trying to come up with it. He gets to Converse. Converse trying to return it to him. Kind of a high bouncer, but Whitcup takes it across. Knocked away. Penalties elapsed. We're back to even Steven. Puck to the Rome line. Now back to the Massena line. Picked up there by Nick Toth. He'll just bounce to an open wing. Intercepted. Colangelo. And he dumps it right in the Massena zone where it's picked up by the Massena defenseman Colin Lazaire. Lazaire, headman, on the wing. Here comes Levine dumping it deep. Raiders making some changes here. In to pick it up is Colangelo. Loses it to Levine. Centering pass right across the goal mouth. Back to the point. Wind up the shot. Fired wide. That taken by Lazaire. Here's another shot from the point. Deflected wide in front of the net by Whitcup. Now the puck in the corner. Knights pick it up. They're going to dump it to the neutral zone where Nick Toth picks it up. He takes it across. Here's Toth in the zone. He'll dump it back to the point. Catanzarite has it poke checked away all the way down the ice. That'll go far enough for icing. No, they wave it off. And back to pick it up is Jeremy Sidden as the Knights change up. Here comes Sidden out of his own zone, flipping it ahead on the wing. Catanzarite a little bit too far. Knocked away by Dan Race. Race will drop to his partner on the other side, Aluska. Aluska back to Race. Race finally bangs it off the boards out to the neutral zone. It comes free. It's dumped inside Massena zone. Here's a chance in front, but it's knocked away. Raiders pick up the loose puck. Can't control it, though. Now it bounces free. Here's Sidden. Sidden's headman to Michaud. He's upended. And the puck trickles inside Rome territory where Haluska goes after it. Side of the net has it poke checked away by Tubolino, who's out there now for Massena. To the point. Here's Hornshot, deflected in front and knocked down by the defenseman. Race in the corner. He battles for it there along with the Massena forward, knocks him down. That is Michaud. Finally, the puck cleared to the neutral zone. Here comes Eddie Marsh. Our Marsh makes his move, following up on the play. Here's a shot, scores a goal. That is going to be Mark Berry, as Sidden and Marsh mixed it up. And he just dropped it to Berry, who was following, and Berry beat goaltender Matt Meacham low, and it's a 1-1 tie.
Berry beat goaltender Matt Meacham low, but also the Raider backchecker let number 22 go when he got to the top of the circle. You have to stay with him. He saw that the Raider defenseman had taken Marsh off, or the forward off the play, but the puck laid there, and he let his check go. And that shot, again, a soft one right between the leg. Goaltender Matt Meacham would like to have that one back.
Off the face-off, a 1-1 tie, puck in the zone, flipped around the boards. Michaud lifts it high in the air, out to the neutral zone, puck bouncing around. Raiders have a chance. Here's DeLille. DeLille in front, shot, save, rebound bouncing around in front. To the blue line and not out of the zone. Knights try to move it out. Here's a hard check thrown there by Michaud. Now Toth picks up the loose puck, winds it up. Shot right on, save made by Shears, and he's going to cover up. 5:34 left, a 1-1 tie on the Corky's Collision scoreboard.
Ryan DeLille right in again, going the same spot, top shelf, right shoulder, stick side on Shears, but that time Brandon Shears figured he's not going to go the same place again on me and beat me, and excellent save. But that tying goal, the 9:01, Mark Berry from Eddie Marsh and Dan Race, and the Black Knights have tied it up.
Off the draw. Puck picked up by the Knights. That's Coleman, the defenseman, moving it off the boards to the blue line and out to center ice. Back after it there. Leduc. Now it's intercepted. Back come the Knights. Here's a shot. Leduc knocks it down. In the corner. Leduc throwing a check. Wood comes back to help out. The puck squirts free, comes to Leduc. Aaron Leduc starts out, flips it ahead. Converse on the stick of... So we're down to 4:46 left in first period, and a 1-1 tie hockey game of the Corky's Collision scoreboard.
That's why the coaches tell you, take your man right back till you gain possession of the play. But the Raider back check at that time let his man go, and he picked up that loose puck and scored the tying goal.
Off the face, puck in the zone. Here's a shot. Goes wide into the corner. Raiders try to clear the zone, moving it along the boards, kept in there by Marsh. Marsh in front, but he's poke checked away in behind the net. Back to the blue line. Puck back in the corner. Colin Lazare picks it up there. As a bouncer, a little problem with it, but manages to get it free to Robbie Whitcup. Whitcup loses. Here's a shot. Oh, big save by Meacham. As a giveaway right in front of the net. And a good shot taken there. I think that was Giuliani who got that one off, and it was a quick one headed for the corner, but Meacham came up with a big glove.
You got to bail your team out, and that time goaltender Matt Meacham bailed his forward out to turn it over deep in your own end, and the Rome jumped on it, got off a good shot. Great save by Meacham.
Here's the puck. Here's a shot. Meacham makes the save. That one kind of changed direction. Now goes off the official's leg. Whitcup picks it up, looks. Tubolino back to Whitcup. Out to the center ice. Raiders just trying to come up with a puck. It bounces free. Tubolino, nice move. Here's Tubolino. He gets knocked down. There's going to be a penalty. And there's also going to be an offsides call, but the penalty came first, and a hooking call on the Black Knights. And the Raiders now will go on the power play. And here's another source of concern.
Another source of concern. I think it's going to be Eddie Marsh will get the penalty for the Black Knights. Source of concern is correct. Raiders overall 9.6%, 5 for 52 on the power play, but things are brightening up since, again, the winter break, Jerry. They're up to 15% in the last 5 games, so positive note, and they've worked a lot on it, and Coach Latham sees a lot of improvement.
Off the face-off, Aaron Michaud, who plays one of the points along with Nick Toth, flips it around the boards in the corner. Wood picks it up at the 45. Cross-ice pass, Michaud, Toth, Wood winds up the big drive, and it's wide. Michaud keeps it in the corner, flips it right in front of the net, but it's cleared into the corner again. Now the bouncer goes up into the wood, and over the glass, the stands will have a face-off inside Rome territory, top of the circle.
1:07 left in the penalty, 3:37 left in the period. 1-1 hockey game. The Black Knights of RFA, Rome Free Academy. Tomorrow they'll travel up a few miles up the road, or down the road, I guess, to Potsdam to take on the Sandstoners.
Whitcup will take the draw. Whitcup wins the faceoff. Back to Michaud, but it goes off his skate, and the Knights break it out of the zone. Here comes Dan Googie. Draws a crowd in the corner, stays with the puck. Finally, he's taken out of the play by Michaud. Now Toth picks it up. He goes on the other wing. Raiders move it ahead. Headman meant for Converse too far, and the Raiders pick up an icing call with 50 seconds left in the man advantage.
But Coach Latham will take that every time. It didn't click, but they had the right idea. Converse breaking between the defense and trying to get in behind, and Wood looking up, spotted him, and just made the pass a little too far. But that's what you like to see. Go without the puck, go hard without the puck.
50 seconds left in the man advantage, 3:20 in the first period. Tie hockey game off the faceoff. Puck bounces in behind the net. Picked up there by Nick Toth. He'll start it out for Massena. Toth, headman, Wood dumps. Around the boards it goes. Back in the Rome zone. Comes to Michaud, 45. Michaud flips it to Whitcup. Whitcup back to Toth. At the point, winds up. Shot saved. Rebound. Whitcup trying to battle in there. Can't come up with it. Nice shot by Toth. And a big rebound. Back to Wood, 45. To Toth at the point. Toth, his shot through traffic. Bounces wide. Puck picked up by Converse in behind. Goes to the 45. 19 seconds left. Bouncing away to the blue line. Toth keeps it in nicely. Almost didn't. Here's Toth. Cross-ice pass to Michaud, goes behind him, but he's going to keep it in the zone. Here's Michaud. Stick handles, lost it off the end of his stick. And Wood had to knock it up into the stands, and the faceoff will move outside with 4 seconds left in the man advantage. The Raiders are not going to score a power play goal here, but they did have a couple of good opportunities.
Look good. Have gone back to that umbrella, 3 men up top, up high with Captain Nick Toth in the middle, and kind of quarterbacking that, and they try to look for him, and he had a couple of nice shots, one on the net, one he missed the net. Key for a defenseman is to get that shot on the net.
Off the faceoff, Whitcup flips it wide, goes to Kevin Horan. At the red line, he'll dump it. Rome zone, penalties elapsed, back to 5-on-5 plus the goalies as Eddie Marsh steps back to the blue line. Horan keeps it in, dumps it in behind the net again. Tubolino after it in behind. Whitcup trying to flip it, knocked away, bounces to the 45, and it's out to center ice. Now there's a battle for it just inside the Massena blue line. Whitcup comes back after Horan flips it out of trouble. Whitcup will move it ahead to Sidden. Jeremy Sidden looking to move it to center ice from the red line, dumps it into the Rome zone, gathered in there by the Rome defenseman Aluska. Doesn't clear the zone, kept in Whitcup. He'll flip it in behind the net. Bounces in behind and around the boards. Picked up there by the Knights. They'll move it out of the zone. Marsh with it. Flipping long head man. Now Marsh has got it rather now. Takes it across. Centering pass in front. Shot fired wide. Good two-man pass play there, but it went wide. Now the puck in the corner. We have a whistle. We got a high stick on Massena, I believe. No, it's going to be on Marsh. I didn't see it behind the net. The way Sidden came skating toward me, I thought he was headed for the box, but no, it's going to be Eddie Marsh picking up his second penalty.
Excellent scoring opportunity by the Black Knights as Eddie Marsh down that left side going hard, and then going down the right side it was number 6 Bryce Davidson without the puck, and he beat the defenseman on that weak side, and the puck came across the slot area and Davison just fired it wide. He gets that on net. It's 2-1 Rome.
Off the faceoff, Raiders back on the power play, and it's dumped deep by Michaud. In behind the net it goes. Job after it in the corner. He'll flip it to Wood at the 45, and it goes by him and out to center ice. He kind of kicked at it, but now he gets it back again. Wood flips it deep again. We'll go around the other side to Job. Job leaves it for Michaud. Michaud at the 45, left of the goalie. Centers it right in front. Job goes back to the point. There's nobody there. Toth had moved toward the middle, and Job kind of hung his head right after he passed it. Now the Raiders having a little bit of a problem as it's dumped down the ice.
That's got to realize he's got plenty of time. He's got on the power play. Don't have to rush it out there.
50 seconds left in the man advantage. Here comes Michaud. He'll dump it deep again. Rolls on end, right behind the net. Converse throws a check. Joe overskates the puck. Looked like he was going to pick it up. Now the puck goes in the corner. Wood after it. It's underneath the Rome. No, it's not. Wood's got it. Back to the point, but it goes by Nick Toth out to center ice. He has to come back for it. Flips it ahead for Michaud. Michaud turns it around. His headman pass knocked away. Back comes Rome. They'll just dump it deep in the Massena zone. 20 seconds left in the man advantage. Here comes Converse with it. Turning it around. We're down to 15 seconds left. Converse trying to go to Job all the way down the ice. That'll be icing on Massena. And I'm not sure what that was for. I guess he just wanted a change.
I think he wanted a change, but you hate to see an icing with a power play advantage. But Raiders certainly did. Some of the luster came off that power play in that last chance, Jerry. The previous one, they looked pretty sharp. But Coach Ed Latham talking to referee George Dobbins. George Dobbins from Alex Bay, one of our officials, and the other Wayne Humel from Ogdensburg working the game here tonight. But face-off deep in the Raider end to the right of Matt Meacham.
1-1 tie hockey game here in the Corky's Collision scoreboard. Off the face-off, Raiders try to break it out, went off DeLille's skate, and it's fired up into the Massena bench, and with 10 seconds left in the period, 4 seconds in the man advantage, we'll have a face-off in the neutral zone.
We mentioned the Black Knights traveling to Potsdam tomorrow, and their counterpart, their traveling partner, the Oswego Buccaneers, will be here in Massena, and the Buccaneers ranked number 3 in Division I, so they're a hot item. They'll be here tomorrow afternoon.
Off the face-off, Sidden flips it ahead. Ryan Ramo knocked away. Here come the Knights with 5 seconds left. Marsh is out of the penalty box, takes it deep, but he's going to run out of time as the first period ends with both teams scoring a goal. Raiders going with their 3 lines. Wood steps out, take the face-off against Davidson, and we're underway. Off the draw, goes deep in the Rome territory. In after it is the defenseman Josh Smith. Smith gets bothered by Job. The puck squirts along the boards, and it's tied up out by the blue line. And now there's bodies flying around, and the whistle blows. Sometimes I think they wait a little long to blow the whistle and stop these scrums, because it seems like you're just asking for injury and penalties.
The Black Knights, and they're called the Black Knights because the uniforms are black, trimmed with orange and white, black helmets, black pants, everything black. And
off the face-off, puck controlled by the Black Knights. In around the boards, Colangelo moves to the blue line, out to center ice. Raiders dump it back in. The Rome Knights take it right back out again. There's a scrum right in the center ice circle. Finally coming away with it is Davidson, stolen away from him by Wood. Here's Wood across the blue line. Drop pass intercepted as he had Job breaking, couldn't get it to him. Now it comes in the corner to Job. Job flips it in behind the net. After it, there's defenseman Colangelo. He'll start out right side. Headman pass goes off a leg. Bounces right in front. A bouncer, nobody can control it. And out to center ice. Here comes Davidson at the blue line. Job takes it away, flips it ahead for Wood, but he was going the wrong way. Wood comes back after it in the zone. Wood and the defenseman go together. Wood comes up with a puck, trying to flip it through to Converse. Goes back to the point. Kept in there by the Raiders. Yeah, still in the zone apparently. Bounces in behind the net. Dan Race after it. Defenseman for the Black Knights. Race moves it ahead on the wing. And it's out to the neutral zone. Right back in the zone by Massena as they dump it right back in there. After it. Here's a hard check throw-in. Picked up there by Whitcup, trying to stick handle by the defenseman. He's got it in the corner. Here's Whitcup in behind the net, skates away. Whitcup to the circle, trying to flip it across in front. It goes by Levine back to the point. Lazaire is there. He tries to flip it. It's knocked away and out to center ice. And here comes Rome. The Black Knights into the zone. And it's Bruno. Bruno shot right on from a long range. Easy save made by Meacham. Levine tries to clear, knocked away. It comes to Colin Lazaire. Lazaire picks it up from Massena behind his own net on the wing and out to center ice by everybody. But somebody apparently touched it. They wave off the icing, and it's stopped by goaltender Shears. He'll leave it in behind the net. Knights look to move it ahead. Not out of the zone. Catan's reach shot right on. Save the big one right in front. And a bouncer comes back to the blue line. I meant to say a big rebound left right in front. Raiders, Levine, centering pass right in front. Again, it goes back to the blue line. Lazaire flips it to Levine in the corner. Levine stepping by the check, goes to Whitcup. Whitcup dangles into the corner, knocked away Michaud rather. Poke checked away from him. Lazaire pinches in, can't keep it in, and the puck trickles to the neutral zone where Nick Toth picks it up. His head man all the way down the ice. They wave the icing off again. Back after it is Petronelli. Petronelli rubbed off the play. The puck squirts free, but it's picked up by his partner, and the Knights move it to the neutral zone and down the ice. And again, they're going to wave off the icing as Meacham plays it ahead to center ice. Poke check by Michaud as he had to sprawl to do it back deep in Rome territory. Dan Race after it. Michaud throws a check. The puck comes free. Ramo back to Michaud in the corner. Michaud, centering pass. Ramo can't put a stick on it. Comes back to the blue line, and it's dumped down the ice by the Black Knights, and that will go far enough for icing, and we'll have another face-off. We're in the second period. 11:56 left on the score clock. And on the Tiffany's Restaurant scoreboard, we're still tied at 1.
We mentioned Aaron Michaud's come of age in this latter half of the season, and he's got great wheels out there, and he's using them tonight. And on that last shift, he was right in on top of the Black Knight defense and forcing turnover after turnover. A good forecheck, good hustle by Michaud.
Off the faceoff, puck sits in the circle, Rome zone. There's a battle in front. Wood takes it, hit the goal post. Beat the goalie, hit the goal post. And it's still 1-1. Back to the point. Here's Sidden's shot. Save made. Puck in the corner. Job after it. Job draws the crowd. Wood comes in to help out. Throws a check. The puck moving along the boards. Sidden pinches in. The puck still sits there. Now Wood gets a stick on it. Finally they blow the whistle. And the face-off will occur inside Rome territory. Adam Wood had the goaltender beat and hit the goal post.
Cardinal sin. You lose the draw and you allow the opposing center to step through you. Unati stepped through the center, right through the two defensemen, picked up the puck, as you mentioned, had Shears beaten to hit that left goal post dead on.
Off the face-off, back to Sidden at the point. He dumps it in behind the net. Job, centering pass. He hit the side of the net, gets it back, centers it again. Bounces to the blue line. Sidden keeps it in, flips it in behind the net for Job. Matt Job, center, hit the back of the mesh with it, goes to Wood. He centers it, nobody there. The puck goes free to Eddie Marsh, and he dumps it to the neutral zone. Kevin Horan gathers it in, goes to Sidden on the other side, steps across the red line, dumps it deep in Rome territory, stopped by Shears. He'll leave it for his defenseman behind the net. Around the boards, Coleman with it, stolen by Wood momentarily, can't hold on to it, and the Knights move it ahead. It goes to Davidson. Here's Davidson on the wing. He'll dump it deep in Massena territory, stopped there by Matt Meacham. Raiders move it back the other way. Here comes Job out of the zone, back in off his stick, comes to Horan. He looks, goes to his partner. Colin Lazaire. Lazaire dumps it, hit the official with it, and the puck is picked up there by Aluska. Aluska to the neutral zone. Here comes Converse. Head of steam, takes it in front, backhander. Oh, he just missed. Puck in the corner. Stick handle there. Here's Wood. Let's see here. Who was that? That was Whitcup, I think. Now it goes to Levine behind the net. Levine flips it around the boards. Lazaire pinches in, goes to Levine behind. Here's Levine, circles. Levine into the corner, circles. Here's Levine. He still has it in the corner. Takes it into the circle, gets a shot right across the goal mouth. Whitcup was too well tied up. Back to the point. Here's Lazaire. His shot right on. Save made, and goaltender Shears is going to hold on for the face-off as the Raiders are buzzing.
I tell you, this is a veteran Rome defense. 4 of the 6 defenders are seniors, and another one is a junior. But the Raiders are right now just turning them inside out, putting all kinds of pressure. And I think that's the key to their success tonight is pressure this defense, because they've been outworking them and forcing the Rome defenders to turn it over time after time down low in their own zone.
Face-off inside Rome territory. Off the draw, puck in the circle to the blue line. Lazaire keeps it in. Flips it in front for Levine. Levine trying to barge his way in the corner. Here's Levine. Finally, he's knocked off the puck, and I do mean knocked off the puck, but it goes to the side of the net. Right back up again is Levine trying to put some pressure on. Comes back to the point. Lazaire flips it in the corner. Levine again battling for it with defenseman Race. Levine comes away with it behind the net. Looks, centers it right in front, but it's knocked away to the blue line, and it's dumped down the ice. And the Knights are going to take another icing, I believe. If it goes far enough, it does. And we'll have another face-off inside Rome territory, and they want to change.
Every unit the Raiders putting out there, they're just buzzing all around in and out of the Rome zone. And that time, as you mentioned, Rome, just to relieve the pressure, dumped it down the ice. And that line of Levine, Whitcup, and Katanzarek just buzzing out there. Chris Levine coming off his finest game of the year last week against OFA.
Off the face-off, up until the point where he called the goal.
Oh, yeah. I haven't talked to Coach Latham about that yet.
Now, that kind of messed things up a little bit, but of course, being the traditionalists that we are. Now the puck goes deep in Rome territory. Michaud throws a check. It comes to Ramo. Skates it in front. Here's Ramo. Gets knocked down. Can't get the shot off. And the puck comes bouncing to Rome, and they break it out of the zone. Here's Barry with it. He'll dump it deep in Massena territory. Comes in behind the net and around the boards. Picked up there by the Raiders, who move it out to center ice. That was Kevin Horan. Comes right back to him at the blue line. Horan flips it ahead, knocked away. He had Michaud breaking, but he couldn't get it through. Comes right back to him again. Flips it ahead to Michaud. He banks it out to the neutral zone. Picked up there by defenseman Colangelo. Has it knocked away by Michaud. Here comes Aaron Michaud. Winds up. His shot is blocked by Davidson. It goes in behind the net. DeLille, Michaud, centering pass, nobody there as the Raiders were making some changes. And back the other way comes Rome Free Academy, and they're just going to dump it. And that was, who was that?
24, I think.
No, 2, Justin Marullo. We haven't seen him, that was the first time we've seen him. Now I know why he dumped it. Back the other way. Raiders take it across. Wood trying to come up with it. He can't. Bounce pass out to center ice. Here comes Bruno. Bruno into the Massena zone. Trying to go wide. Drop pass. Here's a shot. Knocked down in front. Back to the blue line. Here's a shot. It's blocked. Here comes Wood. He's going to have a one-on-one. Wood takes it across. Converse. Wood trying to go by the defenseman. Can't get by him as Race just got a stick on it. Puck comes in behind the net. Picked up there by the Rome defenseman. There's a battle behind it. Job comes up with it. Flips it along the boards, but it's intercepted there to the blue line out to center ice. Nick Toth back inside Rome territory. Going to go right on net. And Brandon Shears are going to cover up with 7.5. 7:36 actually left in the second period. Still 1-1 on the Tiffany's Restaurant scoreboard.
Ryan Ramo, who leads the Raiders with goals this year with 8, almost had number 9 as he worked his way out of the corner to the left of Shears right out in front and then just was upended at the last second. But the guy who made that play was number 11, Aaron Michaud, who went in with, again, a thundering forecheck and pounded the defense and forced them to cough up the puck when Ramo picked it up and walked out in front.
Wood's line out there. Wood will face off against Davidson off the draw. The Knights try to control it. It bounces in behind. Picked up there by Coleman. He'll start out left side to the blue line, out to center ice. Job, waiting for his wings, takes it across, then has it knocked away. Dumped back in the zone, but offsides will be called as the Raiders had a man caught inside the zone.
Oh, Matt Job, and I'm trying to pick up that number of that Black Knight defenseman. Just leveled him at the blue line. I wish he'd turn around. He's still leaning over trying to catch it.
Coleman.
Is it Coleman?
I think so.
Oh, I tell you, right at the blue line.
Face
Aaron
off.
Coleman.
Just outside the blue line. Raiders control. Sidden backhands it deep in Rome territory. After it is Josh Smith, the other defenseman. Takes it wide. Stepped into it is Converse. He flips it behind the net. Picked up there by Davidson. Around the boards, not out of the zone. Here's a shot right on. Taken by Kevin Horan. Back to the point, now to center ice. Sidden dumps it right back in. Raiders get onside. Here's Job with it. He centers it, bounces in behind the net. The goalie tried to grab it, but Wood takes it. Here's Wood in the corner. Goes back to Converse, but it hits a funny bounce. I think it hit the official, and it's dumped down the ice. But not far enough for icing, as Horan will come back after it. Picking up the puck, here comes Kevin Horan. Flipping it ahead on the wing. It'll go to the Rome line, where it's picked up by Dan Race. Race's pass knocked away, back in the zone. Horan was looking to run, but he had a man caught inside, couldn't do it. Puck in the Massena zone, picked up by Jeremy Sidden. Sidden looks on the wing. Here comes Catanzari, knocked away. Trying to follow his Whitcup. The puck bounces away from him, Sidden. Sidden goes to Job, or that's Job taking it across. Winds up his shot right on. Rebound on the save, nobody there, as the Raiders didn't really crash the net that time. Here come the Knights back the other way, out to the neutral zone. Here comes Mark Berry. Here's the shot, save made. Meacham. Raiders back the other way, Toth. Looking for Joe. Or no, that's Catanzari. Here's Catanzari. He's got Whitcup, centers it, Whitcup, and he couldn't get to it. And he knocks the net off as he reached for it. And I think there's going to be a penalty on Rome as Whitcup got upended, and that's probably why he didn't reach the puck.
Well, I'd question that call, but just a good effort by Robbie Whitcup down that left side, and I think it's number 23. Yeah, that is 23 is going to get the Haluska, the defenseman, as he went hard, but Whitcup going hard down that left side, and Catanzaric on the right side delayed, and held on to the puck till Whitcup went hard without the puck through that crease area and threw it across. And Haluska, I thought it was a good check, but the Raiders are going to pick up the power play here. But I'll tell you, Massena's just outworking, out hitting, and just they can't solve Brandon Shears.
Off the face-off, puck in the corner. Dumped to the blue line, out to center ice. Kevin Horan gathers it in. He'll go over on the other side to Michaud. Aaron Michaud drops it back to Horan. Horan's headman intercepted Mark Berry, and he overskates. Now he's going to drop it back to his point man, and it's dumped deep in Massena territory. Again, that first pass, Coach.
That first pass in 25 seconds have clicked off, and the Raiders haven't been able to cross center ice.
Here comes Michaud. Out of the zone. Headman to Wood. Wood takes it in. In the corner it goes. Wood gathers it, looks to go back to the point, and Horan just had it bounce under his stick. I don't know if he didn't get the stick down or what happened, but he just didn't. It was a good pass. Here comes Horan. Headman. Intercepted. Here's a chance in front for Davidson, and he lost it off the end of his stick. Raiders catch a huge break there as a bad pass put Davidson in all by himself.
Well, Davidson was reading it just like you read a book, Jerry, and the Raider defenseman telegraphed. Boy, oh boy.
All right, here comes Massena's Adam Wood. Wood cranks it up, dumps it deep. Around the boards it goes, and all the way back to the neutral zone. Rome back the other way. Here come the Knights. Shot up over the net. Bounces around to the blue line, out to center ice. Back in the zone off sides, but with 4 seconds left in the man advantage. You know, it seems like with the Massena power play, if they make a little bit of a mistake, then they can't do anything else the rest of the power play.
Yeah, it just seems like their confidence just eludes them like water in a sieve, and one thing compounds another. They make one mistake, and there's 4 or 5 after that. But that time, as you mentioned, caught a break as number 6 for the Black Knights, Bryce Davidson, read that cross-ice pass. And, ooh.
Here comes Tubolino. He's got DeLille, feeds it to DeLille in front, backhand. Save made. Brandon Shears, and Ryan DeLille has another golden opportunity, go for naught.
Great pass, and Brandon, the young Mr. Ryan DeLille, going to that net without the puck going hard, but just a great job by, I think it was number 16, Mike Bruno, that stayed with him and just upset him enough that he couldn't, all he could do was get the backhand. He couldn't come around to the forehand. Good back-checking job by Bruno.
Off the face-off, puck comes in behind the net. Dan Race for Rome. He lost it. He falls down. The puck stolen away. Ramo trying to bounce it in front. DeLille shot up over the net. Had a bouncer to try to go with. Puck around the boards. Ramo after it. Back to the point. He goes out to center ice. Nick Toth. Toth turns it around. Goes to Tubolino. Bounce pass. Ramo trying to bounce it ahead. It's knocked away. And back in the zone it goes. Yeah, kept in there. Here's Tubolino. Stick handles trying to center it. Back to the point it goes. And Toth over skates. Back the other way. Here comes Justin Marullo. Marullo just gets knocked down. There's going to be a penalty on Massena.
Yeah, that will be a penalty. It was basically 1-on-3, but Marullo doing a good job. Wouldn't be denied. Just stayed strong in his skates and forced the Raider defenders to take him down. But again, Massena pressing, had the puck in the Rome end, back to the point, and the defenseman fanned on it, and Marullo jumped on that loose puck in the neutral zone and just created that penalty. And the Black Knights, with 3:39 left in the second period, a 1-1 hockey game on the power play.
Okay, Davidson will take the face-off against Whitcup. Rome wins the draw, back to the point. Poke checked away nicely by, who's that? Levine, and he's racing after it in the zone. Levine trying to come up with it, throws a check. The battle in behind the net. Levine really fighting for it. Comes away with a puck. Chris Levine looking to battle for it out to Robbie Whitcup, but I think it came out of the zone, back in again. Offsides will be the call. And hard work by Chris Levine. 1:10 left in the man advantage for the Rome Black Knights. A 1-1 tie hockey game on the Tiffany's Restaurant scoreboard.
Chris Levine, 6 foot 185. He's a big package, and he really worked hard out there. Wasted about 15-20 seconds of that penalty kill. Excellent job.
Off the faceoff, puck goes to Eddie Marsh in behind his own net for the Rome Black Knights. Rome on the power play here. Moving it ahead to the blue line, out to center ice. Comes to the Massena line, picked up there by Horan, flips it ahead. Back to the Massena line it goes, and across the blue line, but I do believe the Knight's going to be called for carrying it. Davidson had it bounce up into his equipment, and he had it in his glove across the blue line.
Raiders doing an excellent job with that standard penalty kill of theirs. The first man pressures deep, and the second man backs him up and reads where that pass is going. And that time, Robbie Whitcup in deep, forces the defenseman to make the pass, and Chris Levine, reading off of him, reacts to where the pass is going to go.
Raiders making changes here. Michaud coming out to kill along with Wood. Aaron Leduc and Nick Toth. Off the draw, the Knights control, look to move it in the Massena zone. Wood steals it, bounces it around, and out to center ice it goes. Michaud got a stick on it as well. Picked up there by Eddie Marsh. Marsh winds up his shot up into the screen, and we'll have a face-off with 35 seconds left in the man advantage. 2:44 left in the second period. 1-1 tie hockey game. Basically, The only time Rome has had the puck in the Massena zone was when Massena was on the power play.
That's right. The Raiders have dominated this period in particular from the opening get-go, but again, they cannot solve Brandon Shears. And when they do get in, whether Shears stops them or they stop themselves, but the Black Knights are hanging around.
Off the face-off, puck goes in the corner. Meacham flips it. Ahead to Wood. Wood back to the blue line, not out of the zone. Knights look to set up their power play. Davidson back to the point. Here's a drive. It's blocked as Michaud gives up the body. And coach will give him a kudo for that. And the puck dumped deep again. Aaron Leduc with it. Bangs it off the glass and down the ice. Out to the neutral zone. Picked up there by the Knights. They take it across again. It goes to Bruno. Bruno in behind the net. Toth just rubs him out of the play. And Meacham comes from in front of the net to behind the net and grabs it and holds on. 1 second left in the man advantage.
Aaron Leduc doesn't get a lot of ice time out there. He doesn't get a regular shift, but he's second on the defense with assists. He's got 3 assists, only Jeremy Sidden leading him with 4. Mentioned goals before. Ryan Ramo leads the team with 8. Matt Job in second spot with 7, and Robbie Whitcup with 6.
Brian Hatch not playing tonight. He's sitting up here. Knee. A knee, huh? Ouch. How long you be out for, Brian? Yeah, 1 game. Okay. Off the face-off, puck in the corner. The penalty is elapsed. Sidden throws a check, and the puck bounces free to the side of the net, and picking it up is Tubolino, flipping it ahead to Job. Job circles out of trouble, starts it ahead. Looking to headman at Converse, doesn't get through. Now the bouncer back to the Massena line. Oh, a heavy check thrown by Lazaire. That had to hurt just a little bit. Now Job with it. Job's head man. He's got Converse. Converse throws a check. Job picks up the puck. Bounces away. It'll go to Tubolino. Tubolino in behind the net. Trying to center it to Job. It bounced by him. Now here comes back the other way. Mike Bruno. Bruno in on the off wing. Massena zone. Stops in the corner. Bruno looking as Black Knights change up. Raiders take the puck. Move it ahead but not out of the zone. Here's an opportunity in front. They get a man all by himself shot. Meacham saved the rebound. Goes in the net. And the Knights have taken a lead as Brian Davidson gets the goal on the rebound.
And the second goal, it's just like the first one. They didn't tie up the loose man, and Davidson was all alone. He had the defenseman, Raider defenseman, right next to him, but he, instead of tying up the loose, he becomes a spectator. Matt Meacham made the first save and gave up the rebound, but the Raider defenseman, all he had to do was tie him up, and he didn't. He watched the play, and Davidson backhanded it into the empty net. And how often do we see this? You dominate a period, you can't beat a goaltender, and bingo, the opposition comes down, and
now it's 2-1 for Rome. Off the face-off, puck deep in Massena territory. In behind the net, Davidson moving down. Googie got the assist. Here comes Levine. Levine to Whitcup. Whitcup takes it in. Here's Whitcup. In behind, he gets in front, shot, save. Rebound to the blue line, kept in by Toth. Great opportunity for Whitcup and another great save by Shears. Puck in behind. Now the puck comes to Levine, trying to drop it back to the point, but it goes by Nick Toth out to center ice. We're down to 34 seconds left in the penalty, or in the period, I should say. Toth goes to Horan. Horan's head man, right on the stick of Catanzarite. He'll dump it deep in Rome territory. In behind the net, Shears leaves it. Picked up by the Knights, they rip it around the boards. Lazaire pinches in, keeps it in the corner. Catanzarite goes to Whitcup. Whitcup gets by one, centers it, but it's knocked away. 10 seconds left in the period. To the blue line, Lazaire. Here's Lazaire, winds up, his shot right on. Save made, Whitcup going after the rebound, can't come up with it. 2 seconds left, and that'll take care of the period. So the Raiders dominate the second period. They can't score, though, and they give up a late goal and trail 2-1 after 2 periods of play. To come in, and Jeremy Sidden was keeping him out of his zone. Sidden got his blade of the stick on it and deflected it up into the stands. So the faceoff will come just outside Massena territory.
And the Black Knights, and JR next to me alludes to the Black Knights of the Hudson, the Army cadets, so he is very fond of.
Okay, here we go. It's Horan with it, dumping it deep in Rome territory. In the corner it goes. A bouncer comes bouncing free to Wood. Wood trying to center it, goes off a stick. It goes to Job, back out by the blue line. Job almost lost it, then threw it away, but pokes it free. Picked up there by Dan Race. Race in the corner. Rolls it around the boards to Marsh. Marsh just lifts it high in the air out to the neutral zone. And here comes Brian Davidson. Davidson stick handles and slides it in the corner. He couldn't control it as he was taken out of the play there. And we're going to have penalties. We're going to run them both, Horan and Davidson, I believe. And they didn't really do much of anything.
I agree. It was basically a 2-on-2 situation, and I thought both Raider defensemen, Jeremy Sidden and Kevin Horn, played it extremely well. But the referee, again, having a little better view and a little different perspective of what should take place out there.
Coach, you really are. I'll give you credit for that. We're going to skate 4-on-4 plus the goaltenders. Nick Toth with the puck in behind the net. They're supposed to have the better view. Here comes Toth out of the zone. Headman right on the stick of Whitcup. He takes it in the zone. Whitcup in the corner. Looks to center it. Gets tied up. Stays free. Whitcup drops it nicely to Levine. Levine trying to go back to Whitcup. Poke checked away. But Whitcup battles after it. Whitcup taken into the boards. Levine coming in to help out. Back to Whitcup. He'll go back to the point. Here's Lazaire's shot. He gets blocked. The puck bounces free and it's out to center ice. And of course, you get that big wind-up, and it gives the opposition a chance to come over and block that shot.
Great job out there by number 9, Robbie Whitcup. He just never stops working, the youngster. He worked and worked and worked, took on 2 Black Knights, won the puck along the boards, got it back to the defenseman, and as you said, just too long to crank that one up. And again, that comes with, I guess, experience. And young Colin Lazaire back there, he's
only a sophomore.
Only a sophomore, getting better every game.
Off the face-off, the draw comes in. This time he cranks it up and fires it wide. Puck comes back to Toth at the other point. He winds it, looking for the deflection. Goes all the way back to Lazaire, who keeps it in. Flips it in the corner, but it's intercepted. Back to the point, Lazaire keeps it in again. Michaud, he's got free in front, trying to get it free anyway, but they couldn't get it to DeLille. Back to the point, Toth shot. The save made. Puck goes in behind, bounces on the mesh, and it's tied up there, and we'll have a face-off. So Raiders picking up, and putting pressure on, but they can't solve Shears.
Great job by, we mentioned Colin Lazaire a second ago, that time very positive. He kept the puck in, got it down on the half boards to Aaron Michaud, and the Black Knights focused all their attention, left Ryan DeLille all alone between the circles, but Michaud could not get the puck to him. But if he did, there isn't a Black Knight within 15 feet of him.
Except the goal?
Except the goaltender.
Michaud will take the face-off. They move it outside the zone, rolling. Massena tied it up on the mesh. Comes to sit, and he'll backhand it right back in Rome territory. Race after it, in behind, flips it around the boards. DeLille steps in front of it, gets tied up, and the puck kicked ahead by the Rome defenseman to the blue line. Now he falls on top of it, and he'll tie it up. That's Dan Race, and we'll have another face-off.
We mentioned Ryan DeLille, fine-looking young sophomore for the Raiders. Not very big, 5'7", 145 pounds, getting his first varsity goal. But I tell you, he's had a ton of chances tonight and throughout the season. He just run into some tough luck. I think if he ever, springs a leak in there, he'll get a lot of them. But he's got a good pair of hands.
14 seconds left in the matching minors. 13:02 in the period. Tom Post State Farm Insurance scoreboard says 2-1. Off the draw comes to Leduc. He tries to flip it in the corner to Ryan Ramos. Centering pass goes all the way back to Sidden. Sharp angle shot. Save made. Puck all the way around the boards and out to the neutral zone. In fact, it's going to find its way back into the Massena zone, and Leduc has to come back after it as the Black Knights make changes. Leduc flips it ahead to the blue line and not out of the zone. Comes back to Sidden. He'll move it ahead. He'll bang it off the boards. And here come the Raiders trying to move it ahead. Ramo goes to Tubolino. He's got Catanzarite with him. Tubolino in front. Backhand shot. And it's knocked off his stick by Davidson. Back to the point. Sidden keeps it in. Flips it around the boards. Catanzarite after it in the corner. Here's Adam Catanzarite flipping it in behind the net for Ryan Ramo. Ramo goes back to the point, and Leduc has it bounce by him and back down. And in his defense, that puck was coming hard and it was bouncing. Here's Leduc, headman on the stick of Tubolino. He overskates, dump back inside Massena territory, knocked down with a high stick. Raiders will have to touch it first, and they do. Moving it ahead, but not out of the zone. Bounces in the circle, and there's a battle for it in the corner, Massena zone, and it comes free to Tubolino. He'll start it out again. Here comes Nick Tubolino in on the off wing, takes it right down the middle, lost it off the end of his stick. And back comes the Black Knights to the neutral zone. Mark Berry with it. He'll dump it from the red line back in Massena territory. 11.5 left in the third period. Raiders down by a goal. Nick Tubolino trying to clear the zone, has it stolen away. Here comes Bruno with it. He gets tied up in the corner. Tubolino back after it. He lost it off the end of his stick. Here's an opportunity for Berry. Berry takes it in behind, or that's Googie rather. Back to the point. Here's a shot blocked and out to center ice. Dumped right back in the zone. And the Knights are going to touch it deep, and we're going to have a face-off outside on the offsides. Away by Sidden. Puck in the corner. Davidson trying to center it, knocked away. And it bounces to Converse. That took some funny bounces as Wood lost his stick, but here comes Job. 1-on-3. Job trying to stick handle across, knocked away. Back in front of the penalty box, they battle for it. Wood's in there. Bogosian, Ike Bogosian out for the first time tonight, and he flips it back to the Massena blue line, now ahead into the Rome zone. Back out to the neutral zone, picked up by Berry. He'll flip it ahead on the wing. Here comes Eddie Marsh, and Ike takes it away from him and drops it in behind for Sidden. Here comes Sidden, flipping it ahead on the wing to Job. His head man knocked down. Bounces in the zone, offsides will be the call.
Jerry, there's situations, where you want to go one-on-one and beat the man. But in that situation, Matt Job, it's a 1-on-3. There's no way, I don't care what level, you're going to beat 1-on-3. And what Matt had to do there was dump the puck. They had all the Black Knights up along the blue line, the three defenders. Get it in low. Your team has got the momentum going, skating forward like that. You got to get the puck in low.
Off the face-off. Puck controlled by the Black Knights. Back to the blue line, Aluska. Moving it ahead to the Massena blue line. Toth is there. His headman intercepted. Bouncing around, picked up there by Giuliano. Giuliano takes it wide, right side Massena zone, centering it right across the goal mouth. Puck comes back toward the blue line. Poke checked in the corner. Toth in behind the net. Now it's going to be Whitcup picking it up, though. Toth throws a check. Whitcup steps by one. Here comes Whitcup down the wing, gets by another. Whitcup, he gets knocked down, drops it to Levine. Shot, save made. Rebound, bounces in front. There's going to be a penalty on the Black Knights. And it's going to be an interference call on who? It's going to be, let me see here, Aluska, I believe.
Colangelo, I think. Oh, no, it's Aluska, 23. But a great job again by Robbie Whitcup down that left side to send Chris Levine in. But again, he's got to cut in. He's coming down that left side. He's got time to come to the middle. When you do that, you're going to have both sides of the net to shoot at. But Chris stayed wide, and again, he reduces the angle of the net, and it makes it easier for the goaltender. And that time, Brandon Shears played his angles well and took the net away from Chris. Nothing to shoot at.
Raiders on the power play. Face off in the Rome zone, off the draw. Puck dumped down the ice by Brian Davidson. We're down to 9 minutes remaining in the third period. Raiders trail by a singleton here. They got the first goal of the game early in the first period and haven't scored since. Here comes Michaud taking it in wide. Stops at the 45. Back to Toth. Toth flips it. Other side in front. Deflected just wide. Comes to Michaud. As Converse had an opportunity. Puck in behind. Whitcup in the corner. Whitcup circles, takes it into the circle, goes back to Nick Toth at the point. Toth goes to Michaud, winds up, shot blocked, gets it right back again. Another shot, fired it wide. Puck goes to Wood at the 45. Wood steps by a check, steps by another check, shot right on, save made. Puck goes in the corner. They bang it to the blue line and down the ice. Good opportunities for Massena, but they cannot beat goaltender Brandon Shears.
Control the puck really well in that offensive zone, but again, as you said, they can't beat Shears.
Here comes Toth, takes it and dumps it. In behind the net for Converse. Converse takes it wide. In behind, flipping it around to Michaud. Michaud along the boards, and he flips it free to Whitcup. Whitcup going in behind for Converse. Converse goes back to Michaud at the 45, left side of the goalie. Back to the point, on the fly, the shot. Toth, it's blocked, but he flips it in the corner. Converse, 6 seconds left in the man advantage. Converse battles for it in the corner. Michaud and Whitcup come in to help out. Whitcup takes the puck, steps back, goes free to Wood. Wood takes it in the corner, centers it right in front, and Whitcup misfired on the shot. I think he had his stick lifted. Puck still sits in there. Kept in there by Wood. Flips it in behind the net. Flipped around the boards. The penalties elapsed. Comes to Michaud at the point. Michaud's pass goes in behind and is picked up there by Colangelo to the blue line. Kept in by Wood. Wood trying to center it, dumps it in the corner. Goes to Converse right across the goal mouth. Wood knocks it down in the corner, steps by the check, flips it back toward the blue line. It's knocked away, comes back to Wood. He keeps it in the zone. Bouncing puck goes in the corner. Finally, he's picked up by Colangelo, who moves it out to center ice. Back into the Massena zone. Davidson knocked away from him. Here comes DeLille. Headman pass. And now we got a whistle blowing down in the Massena zone as Sidden mixing it up with Brian Davidson. I think they're going to call them both.
Both going to get the gate, probably for roughing behind the play. Referee Wayne Humel, now it's going to high stick for at least one. The Raiders dominated that power play, got it in the zone, controlled the puck, moved it around, all kinds of shots. But when they did get it on net, Shears was there to make the save, but some excellent puck movement, and I'm sure after a while it really gets frustrating, that bugaboo that they just can't seem to score on that power play. Special teams have really hurt the Raiders this year, and it's not because Coach Latham and staff haven't worked on it.
4-on-4, plus the goaltenders. Raiders trying to break it free. Ramo gets a stick on it, takes it across, dumps it deep in behind the net. Puck picked up there by Dan Race. Race has it knocked away by Ramo. Here's DeLille trying to center Ramo, and he can't get a stick on it. Puck in the corner, Barry with it. Ramo knocks it off his stick, but Race picks it up behind the net. Here comes Race with it. Steps by the check and skates it down the ice. Into the Massena zone, he dumps it. Picked up there by the Raiders, Kevin Horan. Horan to bounce pass, and that's going to be an icing call. And he tried to get it to Ramo, but it didn't connect.
Oh, he had him. Ryan Ramo had split the defense, had a stride in behind him. If Kevin Horn sees him in time, he's free from the blue line. And Kevin knows that after he dumped it down the ice, he kind of banged his stick on the ice, realized that golden opportunity because Ryan Ramo, as we mentioned, he's a sniper. You get him in low. He leads the Raider club with 8 goals this year.
6:24 left in the third period. Raiders trail by a singleton on the Tom Post State Farm Insurance scoreboard. Here they come again. Ryan DeLille, one-on-one, gets by the defenseman, gets knocked down. There's going to be a penalty. Gets back up again, and the puck is touched. That was a very questionable call.
Oh, I agree with you, Jerry. Raiders caught a break there. DeLille on a partial breakaway, coming down that right side and cut into the middle. I think that's Mark Berry, the defender, number 22. I thought he did, or is it 26? I can't.
Yeah, it's
26, Josh Smith. But I thought DeLille kind of tripped over. Berry went to play the puck, and very questionable call, but a break for the Raiders. With 6:15?
6:15 remaining. Raiders have a 4-on-3 power play for at least 53 seconds.
And I think they're going to call a timeout. We'll wait and see.
Well, they wanted to make a change.
Oh, okay.
The Raiders should have the last change, shouldn't they?
They should. And Coach Ken Hurlbut is on the bench.
Yeah, he must have gotten here. He was not happy with that at all. All right, Wood takes the face-off. Ramo, poke checked away and out to center ice. Raiders have to regroup here. Lots of time. Nick Toth with it, and he'll just fire it in the zone. In behind the net it goes. Wood goes in after it. Adam Wood with it. Gathers it in. Back out by the blue line. Drops it off to Toth. Nick Toth. He's got room, centers it. Oh! And Michaud couldn't put a stick on it. Good idea. Back to the point. Wood goes to Michaud. Michaud to Toth. Toth steps in front. Shot. Big save. Rebound. Another save. Puck in behind the net. And finally it's picked up by the Knights. They find the open hole. And do they dump it? No. Yeah, they dumped it. They got it out of the zone. Wood tried to keep it in. And now the Knights have it and dump it down the ice. And Wood tried to glove that, and that ended up being a shot on net because he gloved the puck. Now one of the penalties, the matching penalties are up, so it's a 5-on-4 power play. Here comes Adam Wood with it. He'll just dump it deep in Rome territory. In the corner, comes back by the blue line. Michaud flips it in for Ramo. He'll not get to it. Picked up and flipped around the boards and down the ice. And now Meacham will have to come out of the net to play it, as the Knights might have had a partial break. Raiders into the zone. Whitcup goes by one, sliding poke check, and a nice one by Davidson blocks it. Back to Toth at the point. Toth flips it along the boards, gets it back again, goes to the other side. Here's a chance in front, shot! Fired wide by Wood, and down the ice it goes. And now the penalty is elapsed, and the Raiders go 0 for on the power play. We're down to 4.5 left in the third period. Raiders still trail by 1. Head man pass. Whitcup. Whitcup steps by the check. Try to get by another one. Has it knocked away. Now Knight's back the other way. Here's Eddie Marsh. His shot is blocked. Goes in behind the net. Picked up there by Brian Davidson. Davidson flips it to Barry. Barry has it knocked away. Gets it back again. Goes in behind the net for Davidson. Marsh is there as well. Davidson trying to go to Marsh. The puck knocked away. Comes back to Davidson. He bounces it in front to Marsh. Short side shot goes around the boards. Comes to Mishaw. Takes a funny bounce. Back to Marsh. Marsh's pass in front to Barry. Can't get the shot off. Puck goes in the corner. Now the puck bounces free. Raiders can't clear the zone. Having a problem. Now they do. Out to center ice. Here comes Converse racing for it. Getting there first is the defenseman. The puck comes to Whitcup. In behind the net. Whitcup centering pass. Converse score! And the Raiders have tied it up. Finally, they've beaten Brandon Shears, and we've got a 2-2 tie hockey game. Converse gets the goal. Whitcup did the work.
Oh, Robbie Whitcup. We said what a great game, what a great season he's had, but this youngster never stops working, and down that right side, just outworked the Rome defenders, went around behind the net and threw it out in front, and Chris Converse all alone out in front and beat Brandon Shears high to the glove side, and with 3:41 the Raiders have tied it. Chris Converse picking up his 4th goal of the year. Robbie Whitcup picking up 1 assist. We'll see if there's another one on the play.
Off the face-off, here come the Knights to the Massena line, knocked away by Ryan DeLille. Raiders back the other way. DeLille flipping it in the corner. He'll chase it down himself. Here's DeLille, drop pass, Converse, shot, save. Bouncer comes into the corner. Raiders almost had another one. Bouncing free, and the Knights try to move it to the center ice area. They do, but the Raiders come up with it. Flipping it ahead, goes to DeLille. DeLille can't control it. Bounce to the Massena line. There's a collision there. Raiders pick it up, flip it ahead. Rome line. DeLille has it knocked away, and it's bouncing into the Massena zone and dumped into the corner by Giuliano. In behind the net. Picked up there by Colin Lazare. His headman right on the stick of DeLille. DeLille pokes it by the defenseman. Here's DeLille. Steps by another defenseman. Has it knocked away. We have a whistle behind the play. I didn't even see it. And what do we got? A penalty on Rome for something. Uh-oh. Too many men on the ice.
Well, we're sorting that out. That tying goal, 11:19 mark of the third period. Chris Converse, his 4th of the year. Jeremy Sidden and Robbie Whitcup picking up the assist. And, Whitcup down that right side and in behind the net and throwing it out in front. And Chris Converse making no mistake, beating Shear to the glove side up high. And we have a 2-2 hockey game, and the Raiders on a power play with 2:54 left in this third period.
A bench minor for too many men on the ice. I didn't see it,
Coach. I
Coach.
didn't either. I was watching the play. A tough call and some miscommunication over there. Coach Al Williams didn't complain too much about it. So there's a timeout coming.
Well, now, that's interesting. So the Raiders get the tying goal, and they've had, how many chances have they had in this hockey game, Coach? And they finally get the tying goal. Chris Converse getting it, but a lot of great work by Robbie Whitcup.
And unofficially, that was the Raiders' 8th shot on goal in this period to the Black Knights 1. Again, that's unofficial, but that's how much the Raiders have dominated the period. Of course, the Black Knights trying to protect that 1-goal lead, a little more of a defensive mode. But
they kind of backed right off.
They did, and had been successful with about 3 minutes left to go in the game, but finally the Raiders broke through, and great work by Robbie Whitcup and a great finish, Chris Converse. Jeremy Sidden also picking up the assist. He's the guy that sent Whitcup away on that right side, but he's just been Robbie Whitcup has been a package, a load tonight for the Raiders. Never stops working. I mean, we talk about him and great face-off, what an asset he is out there, but he just leads by example. Just a junior, 5'11", 175, but he brings everything to the table, and great assist, but you have to finish, and Chris Converse did that time, got it up high.
You can't complain about the Raiders' efforts tonight.
Oh, it's been
they're
outstanding.
Working hard.
It's been outstanding. Let's see what we got out here. We got Converse, Michaud, Wood, Whitcup, and Todd. Face-off, controlled by the Raiders. Wood, quick shot, scores a goal! Right off the face-off, Adam Wood.
and the Raiders take a 3-2 lead on the power play.
But the key was, again, the draw, Jerry, and what a weapon. We've said it many times. Robbie Whitcup, he just won that draw clean. The Raiders set it up, had Adam Wood in the slot to the left of Whitcup. The face-off was to the left of Brandon Shears, and Robbie Whitcup won it clean. And I'll tell you, Adam Wood made no mistake, got it off in a hurry through some traffic and beat Brandon Shears just inside the right goal post. And the Raiders, with 2:51 left in the game, have bounced back and taken a 3-2 lead.
And I'll tell you what, I don't think Shears even saw
that.
No,
I don't think so, Jerry.
Until it was back behind him.
It was bang, bang, won the draw and in the net.
Here come the Raiders, dumping it deep. That's off the stick of Ryan Ramo in the corner. DeLille makes the pass to himself, flips to Michaud. Michaud trying to battle his way through a check and does. Takes it to the 45. Drops it back to DeLille. DeLille back to Michaud. Michaud back to DeLille. Kind of ran up his arm. Moves it back to Michaud. Has it knocked away. Bounces free. They battle for it along the boards. And where is it? Marsh after it there for Rome. Marsh comes up with it to the blue line. Now it's out to center ice. Finally, puck bounces high in the air. Sidden after it, can't come up with it. It'll come to Michaud at his own blue line. Aaron Michaud's head man goes to Ryan Ramo. He just directs it into Rome territory. Now it's out to center ice. The Black Knights, Marsh, he'll dump it deep in Massena territory. Horan flips it ahead off a stick to center ice. About 1:40 left in the third period. Bouncing puck, Wood after it. And I think it went up into the Massena bench and right back out on the ice. 1:36 left. Raiders lead 3-2 with two quick goals here in the third period.
And I've got a backtrack. I'm giving Robbie Whitcup on the draw. Well, I guess it was Aaron Michaud.
Michaud took the draw.
Michaud, they've got the assist, but either way, both those guys have had a hang of a game out here tonight, and Aaron Michaud picks up the assist. But I just want you, Chris Converse just leveled Bryce Davidson right down here, and Davidson, the captain, went off in a lot of pain.
Here comes Nick Toth with a puck. He just bounce passes it ahead, intercepted. Dumped back deep in the Massena zone. Meacham stops it behind the net. Flipped around the boards, comes to Converse. Moves it ahead to the neutral zone. Dumped right back in Massena territory. Bounces in the corner. Colin Lazaire after it. Flipping it along the boards. Not out of the zone though. Bounces. Now it's out to center ice. Back to Whitcup. Whitcup flips it ahead. Whitcup trying to move it ahead. Knocked away. Whitcup gets it back again. Wood goes to Whitcup. Whitcup dumps it to the Rome zone. Under a minute to go here. Dumped deep in Massena territory. In the corner, they're going to pull their goalie. He comes off the net, ice rather. Raiders move it ahead to the neutral zone, back inside Massena territory. They got the extra attacker on. Puck in behind. They got a man breaking in front, but it's knocked away at the last second by the Raiders defense. Along the boards, it goes bouncing in front. Here's a shot fired just wide. Raiders left a guy free in front. Of course, they got an extra attacker out there. Puck still in the zone. Raiders move it down the ice, and it's going to be icing. And again, there is such a, you want to throw it down the ice at that empty net. Looks like it's 100 yards wide, but you pick up an icing, and that faceoff comes right back in your own end.
I think, yeah, true, Jerry. I agree with you. And I think the Raider defense were just trying to clear the zone, though. Rome had some pressure on, won the battle of the boards. They outnumbered Massena with that extra attacker, won the battle of the boards to the corner, and got it out in front. And Nick Toth, I believe, was outnumbered 2-1, and that was Mike Bruno out in front who slid it wide. He just slid it wide by the far goal post, or the Black Knights would have tied this thing up with about 23 seconds. Raiders dodged a bullet there, and I think the Black Knights have called a timeout. But I tell you, we've again got our money's worth here tonight, Jerry. Both these clubs, the Raiders dominated territorial, but were trailing with just, let's see the times. I know the Raiders scored both goals in 50 seconds, but the tying one coming at 11:19 and the go-ahead at 12:09. Adam Wood, his fourth of the year with Aaron Michaud, the game winner up to this point, but it's been exciting.
On the power play,
that's right, it was a power play goal. I forgot. My goodness gracious, it was a power play goal, and those are words we haven't said too often for the Raiders this year. And those are sweet words to the Raiders coaching staff, I'm sure.
After a bench penalty for too many men on the ice. Ouch.
Again, I didn't see the exchange over there, but Al Williams did not protest too vehemently, and I'm sure the officials, with that late in the game, would give you a little more leeway, so it must have really been an obvious penalty, Jerry.
I'll tell you what, the way Potsdam takes advantage of their opportunities, this Black Knight team is going to have a problem tomorrow.
And let's see, of course, I know one guy's going to be out there. It's got to be number 9 for this draw, and it is Robbie Whitcup.
He'll face off against Eddie Marsh in the Massena zone right side. Off the draw, Whitcup wins it. Raiders bank it off the boards, not out of the zone. Now they move it out to center ice. Knights control. DeLille is there now. Whitcup fires it at the net, but it's blocked. Here come the Knights back the other way. They got a man breaking. Into the Massena zone it goes with 6 seconds left. In the corner, Michaud 4-3. Michaud just looks to tie it up. That'll take care of it. And the Raiders, and now there's a bit of pushing and shoving after the game. And they're going to break it up, I think, before there's any damage done. So the Raiders hold on for the 3-2 victory, coming from behind with 2 late goals to win the game. So it's a final. Massena's won 2 games in a row for the first time this season.